All right, what's up, everybody? We are.
What's up? What's up, Maseo?
What's up, Zal? What's up, Onaji B? It's me, Maseo, and we're here with Let's Talk About ETH. This week we got a fireside chat. We played nose goes on who run the intro, and I didn't win, and that's okay. I'm excited to be out here with these guys. I told my mom last night. I was telling her about the podcast actually, and I was telling her this is probably a highlight of my week every week, just talking with you two. Like I feel like I'm in the mix when I talk to you guys, and I like that. I feel like I get to nerd out about crypto stuff, but also the intersection of crypto and media. Onaji, you working with people of color, especially educating about tech, and Zal, you being out here thinking about media and art specifically. I feel like those are pretty much the two pillars of what I do historically. And I feel like as I'm thinking now about journalism and that third pillar, I feel like here we are nailing them all together. And I feel like it's like a good Zen space for me each week. So I'm really excited for this fireside chat this week and to just jump into it. How are you two doing? How's the last week been?
Amazing, man. Things have been cool, been smooth. Hey, both of us, me and Z, some lifestyle, some IRL
Major
life
updates?
milestones. Yeah, so it's a goaded week last weekend and everything. So, um,
Facts,
yeah, man,
congrats to Z. Well, what's
facts,
your big
huge
life
facts.
update? I don't know about your big life update. I'm out of the loop.
I had two of my kids, two of my boys. They turned 18, so I had two more adults out here in
Okay,
the world. But he said, "Okay, yeah, it's a
shout
good
out to
time."
you, lifting them
Yeah,
up.
man.
18 years of
Trying,
hard
trying,
work and
you
dedication.
know, just trying to teach them what we can teach them, and that's it. The time's up. Not really, but
It's funny.
by law, like by law, time's up. They could be like, "All right, see ya," and I'm like, "All right." But if you do a good enough job, they're not gonna leave. They gonna stick around for a few years after that. Hopefully, not too many after that. No, I'm just kidding, just kidding.
You
But
coming for me?
it's all good.
Yeah,
You
still.
say what?
I say you
Nah, no,
coming.
no. I
I'm
didn't
just.
even know. I didn't know. You said you was explaining the pod to mom and everything. I didn't know you stayed like with like you know what I'm saying. I didn't know. I wasn't assuming.
That's okay. I'm unoffended. I live with my parents. I'm
Okay,
unoffended.
so
But I
that's a lot of folks right now though.
being like you said, teaching them and stuff like that. 18 years of showing up for your sons as a dad, as a black dad in particular, right? That's a massive thing. So kudos to you, black dad in the
Yes, sir.
building, successful black
That's
dad in
it.
the building. Stop playing with
There's
it.
a, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, man. Media won't highlight that type vibes, but it's a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of
It's
us,
more often
a
than
lot of
not.
us, man. I can't say that. Shout out to y'all.
That's funny. That's funny. Z, what's going on with you, man? How's everything going?
It's going good. So yeah, big life news. We got engaged. I proposed to my girlfriend, now fiance. So
Whoop,
very
whoop.
Yes,
excited.
sir.
Yep. Been together for 5 years, and yeah, love of my life. So super excited to start the next phase. Um, Throughout that, been building throughout, and really excited for kind of where 2026 has to offer and all of the different things that are kind of coming together here to head. I think it's kind of such a great time to be building right now in whatever you're doing and just being consistent at something. And the power of that's gonna get us far. So I'm excited to be here again for our fifth, sixth week and just chopping it up.
Hell yeah. So how is it like? I guess for you, Z, like how do you see this as like a milestone? Like it's a big milestone.
I mean, yeah, it is for sure in a lot of different ways. It's been a really good, enjoyable last few days. It's cool to call the woman that I had for quite some time wanted to eventually be my wife, now my fiance. And yeah, been living together for the last 2 years here. We bought our house in the last year, so it's been like that life journey, and just kind of excited to continue along that. Excited to kind of plan the wedding a little bit. I've had something in the books with a pending artist, for our wedding to perform for the last year plus. So that's been kind of like one of the first things we were chatting about. But we've been to a few weddings over the last few years of different family members, and we're kind of in that phase of our lives where other people are also getting married, buying houses, having children. And it's been really cool to kind of be able to start that phase for us as well.
Love it, love it. And now you got more, more time, more energy to focus on the Ethereum and what you're building over in Web3 and going crazy. You've been ramping up like every day. These streams have been gas, your conversations, your interviews, what you've been building, the vibe coding side, man, tackling on all sides. And I love to see it. So yeah, keep going in. I'm excited to see what happens for the rest of the year and beyond that, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I was going to say, I would love to know, put Maseo in the hot seat last week, where you've been at. We the media, you guys have been cooking. I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I try not to be on social media as much as I can, but luckily you guys are tagging me on everything, so I can at least try and like and recast, and in an ideal world, quote, recast, right? And different things. And I just finally realized that Gift was tagging me in a lot of things, but Farcaster client wasn't giving it to me because she doesn't actually have a lot of followers yet. So one of the things I want to build out here is a let's talk about ETH client for individuals that we do end up bringing on to Farcaster that do message us and want to get involved, and those messages to not just immediately go to the void potentially. So at least within our community, kind of something similar to what I've been building already. So that's been exciting, and I'm excited to hear like more of what you got going on behind the scenes, how it's been. I think it's been one of your first full weeks in Philly there, right? So we'd love to kind of know how it's like settling in, and like I've been really enjoying seeing some of your videos on the timeline.
Okay, yeah, throw me in the hot seat. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being interested. It's been cool being back home. I live with my parents, my sister and her kids, my niece and nephew, and they're 5 and 7. And I would say a highlight is definitely seeing them and talking to them. My niece is like conversant and busy and like talking to herself if nobody's talking to her. So it's been cool to see her as like a high energy 5-year-old. My mom is dog sitting and also doing some other stuff. So she has me here watching like 4 dogs and a cat. So if you hear barking and like you see my screen shaking, that's the cat pushing my shit around. And so it's cool being at home with them, making noise, and being here with the pets making noise, and just being around family again has been nice. I was hanging out here last night with my mom, talking to her for probably an hour, and she's like, it's cold, but we just kept forgetting it was cold and kept talking, and that was nice, just kind of catching up. So being back home has been nice. I over the weekend, more We the Media centric, right? I shot like 2 interviews. I was hanging out with some friends, catching up with them, telling them about what I've been doing and getting some of their feedback, which was pretty cool.
I think we lost him completely, and you're muted, Z. But I think, I saw the confirmation that, it wasn't just me. Are you back?
Yeah.
Let's say, oh my God, back in the middle. We lost you for a second. It's all good.
You lost me completely, huh?
You're good now, though.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that that was cool. They were showing me some other kind of platforms doing on the street content and kind of giving me some perspective. And then I went out and did like 2 or 3 here in Philly. And what was it? Some people, they're like, don't post me on YouTube. Don't post me on YouTube. But they were saying insightful stuff, right, about the mayor. We have like a Black woman as our mayor here in Philadelphia, and how they see her and how they see some city politics.
Some insightful stuff about the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate just kind of. You said what? Oh, I'm lagging a lot, huh?
I think you're good
now. I'm lagging a lot. Am I lagging substantially?
No, I think
every once in a while it just goes in and out. Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, let me move. But
he was trying to enjoy the outside. Look at him.
Yeah.
No,
I'm like, oh, the Wi-Fi is so nice. Yeah. It was like, no, I agree. But it's okay. I'm just gonna move over to the steps. But
nice. Being back home, man. Coming back home is such a cool experience. But I think it's valuable though. I talk a lot in the streams. I'm on day 247 now, these 365 going crazy. We talked early on about how I think it's so important that people do leave their hometowns and they do kind of leave that safe circle. I think one of the main pieces, because you get diversity of thought, diversity of living, diversity of everything, really. When you put yourself into a place that you don't know what's going on, you got to figure it out. You really got to pay attention. And it's kind of cool because when you do kind of return back and you have those kind of reunions, you appreciate it more. You're like, it's one of those things where I want to spend time away from something so I can miss it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. And um I already know it's a vibe, man. You're talking about, niece and nephew and stuff. And like, it's like seeing them grow and watching the time, pass in between, last time you seen them and then this time. Everybody else, it's just that's just them. That's what they've been doing. But to you, it's like, no, these are major, it's a different person, growing into, a different individual. So yeah, I feel that. And I think everybody needs that, man, to, not only move away from their hometown for a time. If you can't go back, I mean, it is what it is. But if you can, like, it's so beautiful to kind of catch up with your folks, your people, your friends, your family, and all that good stuff. So that's dope, man. I know you're living it up.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I think and I appreciate you saying that. I was gonna say, being in Colorado for 6 weeks was a nice reprieve from being here. I feel like I got to strike a routine. I feel like I hit some inspiration right with this man on the street content, which I'm really having a lot of fun with. And I got to kind of get comfortable, right, and just talking to everybody anywhere. I feel like I'm pretty anxious, and I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with the crypto stuff at like my landmark stuff, my personal development class, and like specific spaces, right? But I don't just walk up and talk to anybody on the sidewalk and just like, like we got to at least be waiting for the bus, But I feel like I just see somebody and I feel called to interview them, and I just say, hey, can I interview you for my YouTube channel? And they look at me a little bit crazy most of the time. But then I say, cool, can I tell you about it? Or okay, well, what are you talking about? And we just start up a conversation right there. And then I tell them the question of the week or, what I'm thinking about. So it's really pushed me out of my comfort zone and got me just connecting with more people when I was all over the place, honestly. And so being back home and starting to step into that, I feel excited to know, like, in Denver, I explored it. Now I'm in Philadelphia, and I know, like, I want to get to know my city, my community here a lot more. And I feel like if I could, people say, as an artist, when you have your city behind you, that's your first milestone in success. And so I feel like a goal for me is like, how do I get Philadelphia behind my content this summer? And I'm excited to have found a format I feel good about with this, like man on the street content, right? And so I feel like I'm going to meet a lot of people this summer, and I'm going to be trying to go to any event I can and just vlogging and talking to people and posting the shit on YouTube. And like, if somebody wants to edit some of the stuff that I get, then they can edit it. And if not, at least the moments are documented and people will know my page is a page, right, where some of those moments exist, So I would say that's kind of what I'm focused on right now to some degree. And I went to the Boys and Girls Club yesterday. I'm looking at applying to work there this summer, honestly, ASAP, and just be around the kids. And it'd be sick if my niece and nephew came there for summer camp. And then I talked to a cafe yesterday about being a barista there. This woman I know, she runs like an art gallery and has a cafe as well. And my great aunt, she's like 83, I think now, and she's like does like folk art. And she had an art gallery exhibition there like maybe 2 years ago. And so it would be sick to have a space outside my house where I can go to work at any hour of the day. And also like a community is kind of art centric and Afrocentric, right, that I can participate in and like kind of have a space, to curate and kind of, I think that'd be a pretty cool, opportunity to have here in my community. So those are some things I've been exploring, but internally, I would say, I'm really grateful. We were running like a content creator kind of community. We were doing like weekly Zoom calls, and my friend Devin came in to start leading that, and so he's kind of hosting it. We talk about what we're out to achieve in the coming week as a content creator, how many videos we're doing, what videos we're editing, what we're exploring, where we're getting stuck, and just kind of getting to know each other. And my goal is, I would say to some degree, find out from who in that pod would be interested in kind of exploring this video journalism thing, so they can potentially become like another chapter, maybe you'll say, or another channel, on the network, right, of another community who's kind of getting coverage through this kind of meta and approach. And so I'm really in love with that and just excited to see people, finding their comfortability doing content and seeing who's really excited about this. My friend Devin is. So it leaves me feeling like even if I get a job and I'm not doing, 10 videos a week of man on the street content, if he's doing 5 and I'm doing 5, or a couple people are doing 2, right, then we'll still have an active page. And I'm just falling in love with the idea of people enjoying doing what I'm doing, right, and not just feeling like I'm asking to do shit for me, because that's unsustainable.
And no, I think that's real cool, man. And shout out to you. I know you're about to attack the summer and go crazy. one of the things that kind of stuck with me is you were like early, you're like, one of the things that's kind of irking me is that, I call myself a media company, but I'm not putting out that much media.
Yeah.
And now just to see you in that journey and you're beaming, you excited and you're brainstorming around it and getting people involved, collaborating. It's like you being that media company now. And that's, I definitely want to call that out. Just to highlight that, man. Keep going, proud of the journey. Yeah, keep going. So that's what's up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Shout out to Gift. Major shout out to Gift.
Shout out to Gift. Shout out to Gift.
And behind the scenes, Fidecio, I'm grateful he was on here last because he's definitely he told me like 2 hours per video on clipping these things up. So major shout out to him. He's just being clutch. So the two of them are really, making us be a media company. I'm just accountable and saying thank you and giving them their flowers. But
that's lit
every time.
Candy's in the building. Good to see you, Candy. Candy said, "What up? I have kids you can entertain." She's at NYC. I'm crying. But no, she said he's making me feel guilty too. LOL. Nah, Candy. You're killing it. You're doing big things as well. Z Amasale. There's been a lot that has happened this past week.
Yeah, I guess with like that whole hack shit stuff recently. Well, data breaches, not just hacks. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last week. I don't know how caught up you are.
I saw there was the Aave, some fake USDC that was bullshit. Got it there, and then people couldn't get their money out.
I guess that's not what we were talking about initially, but yeah, that's the biggest thing. For sure. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
A big major hack, Kelp DAO, some infrastructure.
But yeah, those are the same things.
Oh, the Aave joint is the same thing?
Yeah, Aave basically Kelp DAO lost. You could explain it, but at the end, like it.
No. I don't even know. I just saw some Telegram messages and I didn't do any research. But I thought that's what you were talking about. So go ahead.
Kelp DAO got hacked, and they basically made a bunch of fake money and traded it into real money using Aave. I'm pretty sure. So Aave lost a bunch of money.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. I heard a lot of people couldn't withdraw their cash.
I believe. I'm not 100% sure, actually.
The big news for me, here's the thing. For me, like, the hacks aren't new. We're going to see more, unfortunately. People are now teams are using AI to exploit the hacks and find more vulnerabilities and stuff. The piece, I think, that's, like, shaking up a lot of folks is, I think, Arbitrum actually went in. They had their security council of 12 folks that were like, yeah, we're gonna just roll back or take from the hacker address. I think they recovered like 70 million worth of ETH or something. A lot of the space was like, that's not decentralization at all. Like, is that good? That's good for those people, their funds and all that good stuff, and yada yada. But as far as like the whole ethos of crypto, no. People are like, okay, again, you guys are showing us, people are showing us that the only true decentralized crypto out there is the number one Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of there's a lot of talk on the timelines this last week. So.
And I'm curious, like that's like not the first time, right? That's the major precedent, right? ETH Classic to ETH. And so now this happening with Arbitrum. Like, do people see it as like, oh, ETH was early on its journey? Arbitrum's only, what is it? Arbitrum, like 4 years old? Like, I don't know.
It's a little bit older than that, but
oh yeah, I don't know. But
it might be considered an OG now at this point. Let's see.
Yeah. I just know I got my airdrop from Arbitrum in 2024, I think. 2023.
That's funny. That is funny.
I don't know. I think so. What's the deal with the Security Council and their actual governance on Arbitrum, right? So that's my thought process. Is like you said, some people are upset. In my honest opinion, what are you upset about? Are you upset about the fact that they are on L2 and decided to make a change by deciding how the network should be because they have the control of the code? Like, how did those 7 people or whatever make the decision? Is it just one person that just like picks it? Like, I think it is, right? Like, it's just like a group of people reaching consensus on it. But altogether, like that I'm pretty sure like that's all pretty like transparent with Arbitrum, right? Like I would hope, right? Like they have that security council, like I'm pretty sure, right? Because it's like a bunch of different advisors from different companies or something like that, right? Or not even just companies, but different kind of parts of the industry. And I think, like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on how transparent they were. I would have to look into it as well. But
Yeah, I'm reading that Security Council elections are held every 6 months for Arbitrum, and yeah, it's I
what's
don't
the
know
voting on
how.
that? That's interesting. So, but anyways, my point is on all that is like that's all whatever governance is decided by whomever, whatever is created. So if you're not doing something like Bitcoin or even ETH, where you like can understand that things can change, but it does take like a big group of people because there's only so many people that own so much ETH and can vote with it, right? So I think there's a lot of valid points everywhere. I think the biggest thing is just the fact that like people are now understanding that L2s aren't like fully safe. I
Mhm.
think and that's a conversation that was had, a year ago. I think that got big as well. And I think it's a great conversation now where it's like Base also in that time announced that they were gonna explore a network token. I don't know what the thought process behind that was, but there's a lot of different things that have changed since then. And I think it's been really interesting to see other like L1s pop up that like can rival different things that Ethereum has its con in, but don't still have that. Nothing has the pro of, Ethereum being like Swarthy had it. He hit it on the nail on the head on the second episode of like it being the only DAO that's out there, and then maybe Bitcoin being the only like decentralized asset that's out there. So it's it's an interesting conversation because like what would you rather if you were one of those people that got the money, would you be complaining? Like
Absolutely not.
that's always my thought process. Like
I
what's
like
Yeah,
that.
true.
That's a good question.
look at a bunch of different perspectives. I mean, if you're pro like security and decentralization of these things, and it's like I don't know.
Well, to
It's
that
everything.
point, I mean, go ahead,
I don't
finish.
know. I just don't know enough about Arbitrum, right? Like for me, like it hasn't been a big enough impact for me to actually understand to look into how it works because I don't have a lot of money there. I've only ever used it for a couple of D apps and less than $50 total, right? Just
Yeah.
because that's just not something I've seen a lot of things through. So I guess I just don't have the background on like how it actually works and what the ecosystem is like. Because if the ecosystem is like a very big, right, like decentralized, like okay, we're saying like we're doing XYZ things and we're not, then it's a whole different ball game, right? And I think that can happen sometimes as well. What were you gonna say, B?
Most definitely. Let's see. Well, first, I guess I do stand corrected. It's mainnet launched 2021. So I mean, it's not old, but not
Okay, I was only 1 year
you
off. I
know.
thought it was like 3, 4 years off. Okay,
There you
I think
go. I
there
think
weren't really L2s, right? Like L2s were brand new in 20. Like, I
right,
remember when I got into crypto, like, oh, L2s are coming, right? That's what I was saying
right.
on our last talk, right? So I was like, I don't know what it was before it wasn't L2, but it could
Yeah.
have been like Polygon. Polygon have their own chain, right? So yeah, that's all I meant. But no, I think the
think
point you make all is a really good one, right? Because is decentralization just about technology, or is it really about decision making? And I think the decision making component is a critical one to highlight. Uh, and if I got my money back, I wouldn't be pissed.
Yeah, and like you could be upset that there's only 7 people making that decision, or however many people the security council is, right? But that's like what it is, and that's what the rules are for that environment. If you don't like it, you don't have to play in that environment. And that's kind of the beauty of crypto. Is it
Hmm.
also if you don't like any of the environments, you can create your own environment, and that's getting easier and easier each day. Back in the day, you would have to like, let's say, mine Bitcoin to do anything like in the space, and then slowly over time, you've been able to do more and more things with less and less compute, like in your capabilities. And I think that's been really powerful of like, okay, like now people that have access to just the internet can also have access to things that some people that have had the internet for 20 years haven't been able to access, like the ability to cross money, send money cross borders, like in and of itself is crazy powerful in in what it is today, as opposed to all the people talking about a lot of different pieces of speculation. So it's just an awesome space, and is excited to be here with you guys talking about like some of these decision making things, because that's something that I've been like very focused on. And like another thing that just passed today was Nouns DAO had recently a proposal that passed that moved the starting bid price to something over an ETH, and I don't know what exactly that is, but I saw a message today that hasn't been hit since like the last couple of years, right? So I think that's another interesting decision making place where like it got so big that it was very hard to keep track of everything, because it started in a phase where while everything was technically transparent, you had to have some really high technical capabilities to actually look into things. But now with AI, that's changed. So I think the power of creating things now is super powerful, because if you keep that in mind, of that like ability to use that ability to query and transparency, but like actually be able to do something about it, as opposed to it just being on chain and being data that's out there, it can be really powerful if you use it to your like, if you set yourself up for success, right? Like plan in any way, shape, or form. And I think that can be really powerful. And you want to, in the space being so volatile, be able to plan to pivot, to be agile, right? Like to have a community and a group of people and a culture that when something does shift, not just the hype around a concept in like a day-to-day sense, but the technology shifts and people are building in a different way, and people are using and leveraging different workflows, trying to be able to help move that and knowledge share along that path, I think is the other, like optimization and coordination are the other kind of two things that Web3 kind of bring, and decentralization and Ethereum as a whole kind of brings to the conversation. So it's just exciting. It's I don't think anyone's perfected it, right? Like in that, like, is it Arbitrum is not a DAO, right? Like it's just now too, right? But like that's it. Now DAO is a DAO, and that's kind of a problematic proposal to end up getting through. But then there's other DAOs that have recently also just like gotten rocked. So I think it's a very interesting conversation that you can have around having governance tied to liquid tokens. And I think that's kind of one of the cool things that I was able to see in the Fractal network. And that's why I built on top of that with the Zao Fractals. And I think that governance coordination and conversation is just so powerful. So yeah, I don't know what is right. I don't think anyone solved it.
And hey, that's where, Vitalik himself is ahead of the curve again, on his latest rants or whatever. He was talking about governance and how we're going to have to use AI because people can't keep up. They can't keep track of all the issues, everything that's going on, all these proposals and different things. So it's going to be interesting to see how this experiment keeps evolving and innovating and changing. And, we're going to be here right along the ride to explain it to you guys, though. And delve right along with it.
I wanted to ask, what's the other thing? You mentioned there was another hack. So you're saying the Arbitrum one is one, and this Aave thing, they're two separate things?
No, Z was saying it's the same thing.
Okay, but is there another big thing that happened this week? You're saying that's the Nouns thing?
Vercel and Lovable both had data breaches as well.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So what are the implications of that? Like, what is a Vercel? For my mom who doesn't know that, but maybe we'll watch this. What is a Vercel?
Yeah, well, great question. Vercel is a free cloud hosting platform that lets people put their websites up as URLs that other people can click instead of code just being on someone's local machine. A lot of people use it because they have a generous free tier of people being able to try things out. And then after they get a certain amount of traffic, they have to pay. So a lot of people use Vercel in this vibe coding world, especially, but even like just people building new apps. Because it's super powerful, and it's a company that essentially runs the cloud service for your website. And you could run that in your own house, in your own server, but there's a lot of benefits to being on the cloud and having that accessibility. But a lot of like super cypherpunk people would be against that and want to have their own server running in their own house, right? So it's always a like blend of where you want to be on that spectrum, I think. And I think all three of us coming in on the media angle have to be in somewhere in the middle and closer to, you know, the normie side, because you want to kind of target people that don't actually understand what the technology is and trying to find ways to make that conversation happen, right? And have them understand that the problems that are there at play, some of their solutions could lie in blockchain, but it needs to be thought out more. It needs to be brainstormed.
That makes sense.
I want to share something here today, because I want to share something if we make a token at some point, because you had mentioned way back when.
A token?
A token?
A token. But if we were to make a token at some point, one of the cool things you can do with tokens is here, and this is the homies, Clanker, which is Empire Builder. I made a Zabal Empire at the beginning of the year with this express purpose of being able to distribute funds through the token. And essentially what I'm actually, let me explain here first.
Oh, so you put money in this and then you can send out money to people?
It's a treasury. What Empire Builder is the ability to take a token and give it utility. So you have the ability to first have a treasury and distribute from that treasury, but then you can also create different leaderboards with different boosters. So I have a couple other tokens here, my Zora token, my newsletter token, and these all give you boosters on the leaderboard. So you can see Onaji is number 2 here because he has 11.5 leaderboard, and then the rest of the leaderboards all based on the amount of tokens you hold. So this is the basic one, but then you can add in other leaderboards, right? So I created an API leaderboard here as well, where for every vote you do on the mini app, it's actually going to add one to this live when you press update. So there's things we could do in here all together playing around with this. But one of the really cool things is once you do add money to the treasury and something there, you can pick on a leaderboard. So I'm doing my Farcaster only Zabal leaderboard, and I'm going to do a raffle of the top 100 people. I'm going to pick 10 random people. So this is something powerful you can do instead of having to like spin a wheel and do that as your process. You're actually being able to, this one's random, but you can also split it by the amount that a person has of that token as well. So one of the things I really like about Farcaster is because you shared this with a Farcaster only leaderboard, when you share it on Farcaster, it'll actually tag all of those individuals.
That's it.
Pretty cool. So I'm going to put it in the Let's Talk About Web3 channel. I'm going to say ZM just showed off Empire Builder on the Let's Talk About ETH stream. Got a chance to distribute some Zabal, right? So the nice thing is it posts all that. It actually says how much we've distributed of all time and how much we've burned all time and how much the treasury balance is. And you can just cast.
Okay, that's sick.
Pretty sick, man.
And that tags all those individuals, which is why I like doing 10. And it's pretty cool.
Let's go see the Let's Talk About ETH channel. Take us there. Click on it.
Oh, this was the wrong one. My bad.
Okay.
I didn't do one. I need to delete this or deprecate it. I don't know.
It's okay.
Well, okay. Well, this is the right one.
Okay, I like you put the logo in. Oh, it's cool. You've been quote-casting into the channel. See, that's what I was.
Just recently, but we need to get a gift to also post into the channel.
Yeah, but I think it's good you've been doing that. I was telling Swarthy to do that with his IYKYK channel. I'm like, yeah, I think it's good because it gets me retweets, and I'm like, my whole channel is just me no matter what. So, like, what do you want me to be the only person in your channel?
Yeah,
it's like you just got to make your channel look interesting. You're curating a feed, so.
But I like Empire Builder for that reason. There's just a lot of opportunity there for adding utility to something that's existing that's out there. Maybe
I like that. You're the master of incentives. I'm pointing everybody at you. Where's the money?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like everyone uses incentives for a lot of different things. I think it's really powerful to find a good way to bring those things together. And one of the things I've been thinking about more recently is creating a couple app tokens with Clanker, especially after the conversation with Dish yesterday, and hearing more about the background of Clanker and how they built it. It was a really cool.
I don't know anything about anything you're saying right now.
Yeah, so Dish is the founder of Clanker, and I
Mhm.
had him on my Better Calls All Yaps podcast episode yesterday, which was awesome. We got a chance to dive more into Clanker and how it's created and like the history of it, and where they're going with it. And it's just a really powerful platform. A lot of people have tried to do token launchers and haven't gotten like a good, successful um, creation, and Clanker has done a good job, even though someone tried to clank a Better Calls All Yaps token today. So there is one out there, but it has no trades on it, right? And now it's gotten me to think maybe I should just do it and send it, right? But the idea behind Clanker is making token creating easier, and the powerful thing there is they do an initial setup of portions of the initial purchases going towards a liquidity pool automatically. There's the benefit of like understanding that a lot of you can trust a clanker if you know that it's kind of coming from that platform, in the sense of like some other platforms as well. Like you can trust because it's coming from a specific platform. Like those contracts have been audited as well. It's not just any old contract address from any old developer. So I think it's super powerful in a lot of different ways, but there's always limitations, right?
Hmm.
But I think they're building a lot of amazing things on that like base layer of like Farcaster, especially because Farcaster bought it. So now it's like a token within Farcaster, well, which now Nanar has bought.
Oh,
Uh,
Farcaster bought Clanker?
yeah, before the acquisition.
I didn't know that. I did not know that at all. I didn't know it was like a Farcaster native like tool or application. I like that
It
a lot.
is, well, it isn't.
Oh,
It is and it isn't, right? Like it was purchased by
what does
Farcaster
that
in the
mean?
last like 6 months.
What
So
does that mean?
like it's not natively integrated in it, but they have the rights to do that now.
But do they capture the fees or like they control it as opposed to like an independent
Just
team?
recently they just started getting all the fees as of like the last 2 weeks, actually, because the deal finally closed. And there is a Clanker ecosystem fund that a portion of that is going to the stewards of the fund, who are the two founders of GM Farcaster, Nounish Prof, and Adrian, who are going to be kind of stewarding, moving the dollars that were previously going to buybacks towards uh, Farcaster ecosystem projects as a whole, right? Like just to try and help bolster the ecosystem and the people who are building here and who like building here, I think. And it's really cool to see the initiative to try and support builders in different ways. I think there's been a lot of different ways people have tried to do that. And it's really interesting because I like trying it at our small scale of this DAO and like iterating on different things because we have the luxury of being able to pivot really fast. But platforms like Farcaster and some of these other things, like they got acquired and it took like 3 months to actually have the papers go through. So different organizations that are bigger can't pivot as quickly. So it's cool to see everyone iterating on different parts of that, a lot of different ways. So the tech's here, like we can do it. So I'm excited to just try out seeing what's like. I think trying to find ways that we can show the workflow of what you're kind of building, especially and trying to do, can always be super powerful, because if you can just like work on educating folks, whether that be through like conversations with different perspectives from different people around the world, which I think is super powerful, Maseo, or daily conversations with people all over the world, which Onajibi does every single day. It's just super exciting to hear what different people have to say and kind of knowledge share more than anything, and like be open to that potential of someone with a completely different perspective thinking a certain way, and not being against like the idea of it being a way that that person enjoys to spend their life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it makes a big
Solid.
difference. Like, I'm a discourse maxi. No matter what the shape or form is, let's just talk more. Let's talk more. Let's talk about ETH. Let's talk about breakfast, lunch, dinner, safety, money, insecurity, family, all of the above. Emotions, art, music, the tokens, the launchers, the farcasters, the users, the producers, the consumers, the capitalists, the aristocrats.
One of the interesting things, that I've been like kind of noticing in myself and other folks is just, in this emerging tech AI era that we're in, this vibe coding, this evolution, I think about digital goods and digital products and platforms and just software differently as a whole now. Like I think about it more mathematically and more like code based now. And I don't know, if that's me way late to the code party. Um, but I think like, as somebody who was just like on the creative side, an artist or whatever, didn't really knew a little bit about code, dabbled here and there over the
Mhm.
years. But now it's like, even you're showing me those different like the clanker builds and different things like that, and how you just have like this the randomized button to go to folks, and I'm thinking like, oh, how could I code that? How could the code do that? How does that work in code? And I think that's a cool little thing because I think a lot more, diversity of thought is going into software, and we're going to see more of that as well too, especially the way you're tackling it, Z. Just like building software and like, IC through was kind of a key piece. He was just like, I was like, I don't know what to build. I don't know what to make. And he's just like, well, just make the stuff that either you're paying for right now, try to clone that, or the stuff that you can't afford. You know what I'm saying? There's now we're in an era where you can make your own tools and different things like that. So I think, and I know you've always been ahead of the curve, the engineering background, all that good stuff, and I even am tying that together now because I always used to talk in the beginning like you're the leaderboard king, but a lot of those experiments are fruitful and paying off, and you see the value in tying like that incentive and that leaderboard and that contribution on chain and visible contribution, tying that into Web3 and into coins and into all that good stuff, even if it's just like the soulbound illiquid tokens and different things like that. It's like you're experimenting on all those sides, and it's really kind of cool just to have that light bulb moment to be like, okay, I kind of see what software is doing now. And before I was just like a user, a consumer, you know what I mean? And it's kind of cool having that switch. So just wanted to, yeah.
That's really interesting to think about it instead of the content angle, but from the software angle, because I haven't ever thought about that because a lot of people have made that flip with content, but I think it's super powerful with software as well. Hell yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been really exciting. Like, I think the communities that all kind of emerge between the three of our communities can be really powerful. So I'm excited to manifest this, second trip to India this year. I got a lot of ideas. I definitely need to get cooking here in the gym, in the studio. But I got a lot of ideas that I think we could leverage in fun different ways. So
You
yeah.
want to schedule a time right now? We should schedule a time to kind of like plan or investigate, explore what that looks like. Even if it's just you and I, and like B's at school. If he's at work, imagine me. And even if he's busy, right? I'm game to meet. We can even go live and chat it out, figure things out. But
Yeah, let's
want to
definitely
schedule a
talk
time.
about that after for sure.
Oh, he said we can't do that kind of stuff on stream. That's
Well,
not
we
interesting.
can if you want. I got a pod here in a couple of minutes anyway, so it might be a good opportunity to call it here.
No. What was I? I was thinking something. What was I thinking? He called you the leaderboard king, and so I'm curious, like B, like while you're figuring out time, right? What do you think? What are some of the highlights of your how you see his leaderboard exploration? Right, I haven't done a whole lot to think about that actively. Like, how do I reward people who are engaging with my stuff on chain? I'm just like, one day I'll get there, and I've done enough things that people will have done, participated in things that I like, but I haven't really considered how do I build, those opportunities around my brand. So I'm curious, like, B, how do you see what he's been doing, and like what's worked and what's not worked? What do you think is interesting? What's your
I
review?
mean, from a on just a couple minutes, maybe like a 1 minute real quick spiel before we get up out of here. I think it's super cool just because like I was talking about it this morning in the daily stream, the 10 a.m. PSTs, and I was like, I really kind of like helping the homies or my family and friends, whoever around me, just like help collaborate and build whatever they're trying to go after. And I've always kind of been like that. And I think it is really cool to have like that leaderboard structure because on the selfish angle, I'm on the top of a lot of them. So it's really kind of cool just to see that like and that's kind of a motivator in itself. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what else are you building? What else can I, contribute to? And oh, that's tied into this, and I'll get points for helping you beta test this. Let's go. So I mean, yeah, I love it, man. I
One
think
thing,
it's groundbreaking and cool.
the one thing, well, two things I did want to do, if we can do this in somehow 5 minutes. I think we should try and start highlighting like founder or community that we are like super bullish on, instead of like a lot of people go with tokens. I think it's really powerful to like talk about a community or a founder. And we could each either pick one week or something, but like have like a 1 to 2 minute like highlight on them, kind of planned a little bit. I think that could be really powerful. And then the second thing I wanted to say is, on that is like one of my weaknesses, and I think it's super powerful to try and figure out ways to start mitigating your weaknesses in different capacities, is the amount of things that I want to build and want to do, but I have tribal knowledge in my head that isn't actually explained out for someone to capture if they're interested in something that I'm doing. So that's something I need to work on. So I think that could be something powerful we could rock around the room of, like, what's something you think in your day-to-day that's something that you think you could work on because it's one of your weaknesses.
Well, I can go first for the show. Hey, for me, it's probably the scheduling aspect. That's when my creative brain just for the moment, let's go outside, take a walk, get inspired type of vibe. But yeah, I think for me, but being able to build tools, being able to help uh, have folks share different tools that either they're building, they're finding, that are free tools that can help me get a little bit more organized and stuff like that is a super key helpful piece for me. So that's probably my biggest weakness at this point, but I wear that. What
Well,
about you, Zell?
I was gonna say I'm in great company then, because I'm in the same boat. Like, you guys see me, I'm coming, I'm here. Where's Maseo, right? Like, I feel like 5 out of 7 commitments a day. Maybe 2 years ago, 5 out of 7 commitments a day, I'd be late. I feel like now I'm teetering on 1 to 2. So I'm seeing some growth, but right now I'm really trying. Like, my thing I have open right now in Claude is like me trying to map out all my calls and commitments for my class, for read the media stuff, for how do I make sure I show up prepared to things, how do I make sure I leave gaps after my calls so that I can do async things, because Swarthy told me that I schedule too many things back to back, and then I'll do it later. It turns into like, I never did the thing and it's doing that, and like I need to have it done like now, and I feel guilty and ashamed and overwhelmed and angry, and I just want to close my laptop and go on a walk and feel inspired. So I feel like I'm in that same boat, but maybe a bit different of a context. So I would say for me, that's probably one of the biggest things that I struggle with. And that's why I've tried to recruit these teammates, so I can kind of start to delegate more and scale back what I'm actually responsible for. And as opposed to doing, all the clipping for my videos, I can have, 2 30-minute conversations a week with Fidesio and hear where he's at with stuff, or 2 with Gift and hear where she's at with the socials, or Marissa's coming in actually now to help with like project management. And so ideally I only have to do 2 with Marissa, and she does those other 2 with those people. So it scales me back from having to do, 4 calls and 6 calls and 8 calls to, having someone who I know is going to make sure we have the conversations to make sure team members are supported and things are actually happening, with, all of us having peace of mind. So I would say just really trying to learn how to execute at the team level, right? With consistency, integrity, and just like, accountability, that where nobody feels shamed or guilted or unappreciated. Because I think it's easy, especially with no money, I think, for people to feel unappreciated. So I'm really trying to keep that all in check and make sure I'm holding up my end of the bargain, right? Of showing up and doing what I say I'm going to do. So at least, like, people feel like I'm not standing, I feel like I have somewhere to stand, right? And they see what I'm really standing for and committed to. But I would say just being in communication when I drop the ball versus hiding or, avoiding dealing with it, it just throws a wrench in everything else I'm up to. So I would say right now I'm trying to work on, just taking responsibility for where I drop the ball as fast as possible. Because I think you guys have seen firsthand, we don't have a lineup of guests and we did. So I think I can do some avoiding sometimes, right? But I think I'm having way more peace of mind just planning out my time and knowing that I have teammates I can count on. Even just to some degree this week versus last week, I felt like I'm home and I'm behind and I'm like not even settled and I didn't eat breakfast yet and I have things I need to do and I'm falling asleep with my laptop next to me. Like, I'm trying to be an organized 26-year-old by the end of this summer. Really by the end of next month, but I'm giving myself some grace and just
Let's go.
troubleshooting. And this kind of conversation
Let's
make a
go.
difference for me. So I yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate that. I saw IC3 came in the building. WI. Yeah, no, appreciate all those answers. It's definitely, I think, a powerful thing to think about and find ways to like. The best thing I found in Web3 was finding people that were good at things that I wasn't good at and being their best friend, because why not help them out to help you out and kind of have this helpful cycle of being able to help other people with something you're good at and let other people help you with things that they're better at as well. So I think it's kind of that win-win situation, but you have to be able to share and barter like that. I mean, in the last thousands of years, we've been accustomed to money being that transitory piece, but it could be anything. So
Yeah, and I think it's a lot easier, right? After having spent a couple months in Africa last year, for me to be able to think about like how do I honor my teammates without feeling like I'm exploiting them. And I think me not having an income, I feel like we're more on a level playing field than when I was getting money from CY and stuff like that. And I feel like now I know what tangibly makes a difference, right? Like I can send them, $20, this weekend. I know it makes a big difference for them, and that's like, it's not an arbitrary amount of money to me, 'cause it's like that times a number of people, but I know that like it goes a long way inside of what I'm up to. And we're just thinking about like in the long term, right? What are wages that would make sense, right? And how do I make sure my team can be honored and that they know my goal is like overhead for months so they have job security, and them helping me execute right now proves that we can actually we're a thing worth funding, a team worth funding versus like a team that we can speculate on. So I appreciate it. And I'm excited to be cooking you.
Love it. I love it. Nah, hey, W Stream. That's a solid Fireside number 2. I dig it. Shout out to all the family that came through. Candy Toy Box in the building. Icy through in the building. Yes. Although we got a bunch of goats watching on the back end as well too. Over on X and YT, man. It was another solid space today for sure. So yeah, let's talk about ETH around the world. Fireside chat number 2, y'all.
Oh
We'll be
yeah.
back again. All right. W Stream, y'all be good. Have a good rest of the day. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.